In this episode of the Happy Hustle Podcast, we are going to talk to Genevieve Pleasure all about sex, the orgasmic arc, and how you can have more pleasure and better intimacy. Let's get into this amazing episode with Genevieve Pleasure on the Happy Hustle Podcast. Do you want blissful balance in your personal and professional life? Great. What's up, guys? My name is Carrie Jack, and I want to help you happy hustle a life you love, one full of passion, purpose, and positive impact. I'm a lifestyle entrepreneur, a professional model / actor, a digital marketing specialist, a podcast host, author, a biohacker, an eco-warrior, a martial artist, a hippie cowboy, and a humanitarian. My goal is to educate, inspire, and entertain you to live a life of passion, purpose, and positive impact. It is time to happy hustle your dream reality. Yee-yee! All right, Genevieve Pleasure, welcome to the Happy Hustle Podcast, my friend. I am super excited to rock the mic with you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. This is going to be so fun.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. This is a unique one, to say the least. I mean, you are the founder of the Orgasmic Arc. You are also the best-selling author of, I think, multiple books on sex, on orgasms, on pleasure, and you have a ton of really cool certifications, a certified erotic blueprint master trainer. You're a certified accelerated evolution coach. You're a former dominatrix. You have a lot that we could talk about. And this is very relevant for the happy hustle because there is 10 alignments to really being a happy hustler. And one that is very important that is often overlooked until it's too late is loving relationships. Loving relationships is the L in the soul mapping system. And you know, for me specifically, like I'm super interested in this topic to always become a better lover, become a better husband, become a better, you know, just pleasurer, if that's a real word. But, you know, I'm just excited because I love to learn from people like you and just, you know, deep dive into these topics. But before we get into all that good stuff, Genevieve, what is something interesting about yourself that not too many people know?
You know, I think there's a misconception about me that's out there that I want to clear up. So people think that because I'm an erotic guide and I've been doing this for over 15 years, that I must constantly go to sex parties and have all this, right? But most of the sex parties that I go to, do you know what I do with them? I don't. I sit in the kitchen and I eat grapes or I eat the chocolate and I'm bored out of my mind. Most sex parties I don't like, which is really interesting, right? You'd think that I would be all up in there. But we can go deeper into why. But that's people invite me to them all the time and I always turn them down. I'd rather go to dinner.
Okay. Yes. We definitely need to know why these sex parties don't capture your interest. So let's go a little deeper.
So most sex that I see is so superficial and it's actually pretty boring, right? Sex parties, everyone's they're kind of dissociated. They're kind of disconnected from their bodies. No one's really in it. And there isn't like a deep soul connection. And to me, sex isn't about just the physical activity. It's about something so much deeper. So a sex party wouldn't be exciting for me because I wouldn't be getting the fulfillment that I'm seeking when I decide to share myself sexually.
That's interesting. And I feel like that's relevant for a lot of people out there. Like they're disassociated from the actual experience, more so focused on the result. And that actually applies to business as well. A lot of people, you know, they are just so focused on the end goal of that exit or that financial abundance that they miss the meaning of, you know, the hustle, the happiness within the everyday hustle. And, you know, that's a really great place to start. And I want to talk about the orgasmic arc and just like dive right in because I think this is such an interesting topic. What do you mean when we talk about the orgasmic arc? Let's first define it.
So the orgasmic arc is a 6-step process to finding consistent sexual fulfillment. So I don't mean sexual, I don't mean like you're going to blow your socks off and have total sexual ecstasy every time. But what I do mean is that you're going to feel fulfilled and nourished, which is kind of the point of sex anyway. People think, just like you were saying, people go to the end result. They go to the orgasm. They go to the, how do I make sure that we're both happy at the end? But they miss the whole journey. And sex is actually a really phenomenal journey.
Yeah.
That every moment of the journey is satisfying. So the Orgasmic Arc helps us slow down and really recognize that.
Okay. So this is something that I know I'm just going to be, hopefully extremely vulnerable throughout this. Maybe I'll get embarrassed a couple times. But, one thing that like I definitely am guilty of is like rushing it back, especially in my like younger days, like more so college, that was like, I think probably the motive was just, having just fun and sex and the more the merrier, kind of like partners I could be with, and it was not fulfilling. Like it got to a point where I was traveling Southeast Asia. I was really on a bender, to say the least. And I was super unfulfilled. I was actually like almost low-key depressed, which is weird for the happy hustler to say, but I think that's what sometimes happens with unfulfilling sex or unfulfilling work. You get a level of depression. And what I did when I got back from all this travel, all this party, all this, careless intimacy, I realized I was giving away my chi, my energy, to partners that really didn't deserve it. And, to people that I didn't really know. And what I did was I practiced abstinence for like, I don't know, at least a couple months. I didn't like count the days, but I was like not jacking off, not, having sex, not like looking at porn or anything. I was like, I'm just going internal. I'm going to, just fill my cup. And that's actually when I really connected with my now wife. Isn't that weird how it works? Is like when you're focused on yourself and, just filling your cup. So I'm curious, can you speak to maybe that level of like depression, or maybe when you're having that unfulfillment from your intimacy?
Yeah, well, there's this really common misconception that we need to get, right? That we have this idea that sex is for us to get something. I'm going to have sex so I can get a release. I'm going to have sex so I can get love. Or I'm going to build a business so I can get abundance and feel like I'm good enough. Right?
Yeah.
And we do this. This is just the thing that our society sort of sets us up for. But when we instead start to go internal, like you said, and I love that you said fill your own cup, because that's key, right? When we start to fill our own cup, then sex becomes a shared experience where it's like, I love myself, you love yourself. Now let's gift each other something phenomenal. And that's what we're looking for. Instead of what can I get? A lot of people are still going into sex. What can I get from you? And then there's pressure on the other person. There's pressure on yourself. You've got to perform. They've got to perform. And if any part of it is off, the whole thing dies.
Whoa. Apologies for interrupting your programming, but I got to tell you about something I'm super excited about. This is something very unique that we do at The Happy Hustle, and that is the Montana Mastermind Epic Adventures. See, you can listen to podcasts, watch YouTube videos, read books, acquire all this knowledge, but I believe the best way to achieve ultimate success and fulfillment is to actually align yourself and connect with like-minded, badass, high-performing, heart-centered humans. And that's why it's important to go to masterminds. Now, whether you go to the Happy Hustle masterminds or you go to other ones, that's on you. But I got to tell you about the one that we're doing upcoming in March, the 22nd through the 26th, which is going to be sweet, especially if you love snowboarding and skiing, if you're a high-performing male entrepreneur who's making over six figures, who wants to network with a rock star group of just badass, world-class happy hustlers while shredding some pow-pow, this may be for you. We have an amazing mountain mansion, which you could ski right into. We got a professional chef cooking up some delicious, healthy meals. We're going to be doing masterminds where we share wins and, challenges and adversities and just how to overcome them. We're going to be soaking our bodies at natural thermal hot springs. We're going to be enjoying some super cool activities like ice fishing and hiking and campfires and other awesome stuff. And we're going to be digitally detoxing from our devices. That's most important. So if you're interested, hurry up and apply because there's truly only a couple spots. This isn't like a tactic. We only have a couple spots left based on the number of beds in the mansion. So if you want in, you can go to thehappyhustle.com/mastermind. Okay. Now, and if you don't like skiing and snowboarding, no worries. We do have some amazing, epic camping adventures coming up this summer. So check them out. If you like camping in the backcountry wilderness, if you want to learn primitive survival skills and fly fish and, dip in cold plunge, amazing alpine lakes and just hike up these remote mountain trails and really just connect with Pachamama, our beautiful planet. We do have these summer trips coming up too, which are filling up fast. So that's it. Let's get back to this episode, but I just wanted to let you know you can go to thehappyhustle.com/mastermind to apply today. All right, let's get back into it. Yeah.
Right?
So true.
We don't want that. And then you're like, ugh, it's icky, right? We don't want that energy. So we're approaching it totally wrong in our society. I think a lot of it has to do with porn culture and making that mainstream. That's really, I see a lot with men especially, it's really affected how they approach sex. They think it's about the penetration and the orgasm, and it's so much deeper than that. It's so much more fulfilling.
Wow. Yeah, speak to the porn culture, because I used to watch porn. I'm going to be honest. I haven't watched porn in a long time recently. I was like, no, this is not serving me. I'm just wondering, what do you see as, is it something chemically in our brain? Is it something emotionally or spiritually that's being affected? What's being affected when men and women watch porn?
Great. So when you're watching entertainment, what's happening, and this is for anything, this is also like you're watching a movie, you're watching whatever, you're getting hits of dopamine, but it's not produced by you. So the characters that you're watching are creating the arousal. And then you're feeling the effect of the arousal, and then you got to do something with it, right? This is what porn and masturbation and all of those that's what it does. But if we can instead start to create our own arousal, which is through the orgasmic arc, it really helps us feel that. When we start to create our own arousal, we realize we don't need anything outside of ourselves to feel pleasure. And that is the biggest sex tip I can give anyone, is to recognize you are self-responsible for your own pleasure, and you get to cultivate it and then bring it out into the world.
Ooh, you are self-responsible for your own pleasure. I like that. So just going a little bit deeper here, you hear the term, if you don't use it, you lose it. For someone who's not having regular sex, do you recommend masturbation? I know this is kind of a funny topic for the Happy Hustle. Probably the people listening are like, what's going on here? This is not our typical programming, but it's important and it's intimate and I want to go there. So, do you recommend masturbation? Do you think you should wait till a partner and kind of hold your energy and then, give it to someone you really care about? Just what's your thoughts there?
So your erotic energy is your life force. It's also how I created my entire business. We can talk about that later, but I'm not your typical businesswoman. I don't have a funnel. I just fuck around, right? Yeah. But I'm magnetic because
literally,
my life force is so cultivated because I self-pleasure every day. Whether you're in a relationship, whether you're single, you create a magnetism inside of you. Now, self-pleasure is not what people think though, right? I used to self-pleasure in my 20s. It was a vibrator and then out, right? So by doing that, I lost my sense of sensitivity to myself, and I lost my ability to really connect with my own body. The orgasmic arc is going to actually stop you and bring you back into yourself. And you'll start to realize how much energy is actually inside of you. And then you become like an energy generator. And if you're single and you're doing this happens with all of my clients. People are doing this. Next thing you know, people are knocking down their door. They're like, my phone is filled with people wanting to date me constantly, because you fill up yourself magnetically. You're just like, whoa, people want that. They want someone that's generating their own energy and not just going everywhere else to try to find it.
Yeah, that's so true. It's like your frequency, your vibe attracts your tribe. And when you're vibrating high, people, they take notice. They feel it. Yeah. And it's attractive. That's a big takeaway. I hope all the happy hustlers out there can really take stock in their own energy and just listen to what Genevieve's talking about it and cultivate that energy so that it first is pleasuring yourself and just raising your own frequency, but also then attracting the people that you really want to attract, whether you're single or married. It's going to make you a better lover. It's awesome to hear. So when you talk about the orgasmic arc, I think we should go there. Let's get into like the actual process, because I'm sure everyone's out there going, hey, like, all right, Genevieve, how do we actually do this now? I want to raise my energy. I want to be, just have people knocking down my door, or my wife or husband, like can't keep their hands off me. So let's get into the orgasmic arc and the process behind it.
So one thing before I dive in, one of the things I always tell people, and I'm so glad you brought up masturbation, because self-pleasure to me is the first thing I teach. So in my courses, that's the beginner course. Because how you make love to yourself is how you make love to your partner, is how you make love to the world. So it's entirely a mirror effect, entirely. Most people are focusing too much on their partners or on, even as a business person, on their audience. Focus on you. You're going to grow tremendously, and then people will come. It's really cool. So I just wanted to throw that in because it's a big tip. And something I really found.
Well, before we go, because now I want to like actually, now I want to know, like, so when it comes to like step numero uno, which is self-pleasure and that masturbation, like, are you talking like no music, no porn, just like you in your hands, like going to town over here? Or is that kind of like what we're describing?
So here's where we can go into the orgasmic arc. Because the orgasmic arc to me is a frame of what to do with yourself when you're sitting there. So got it. I discovered this when I was in my own challenging time. My business was like just dropping. I couldn't figure out how to make sustainable income. And I was trying to do all this pleasure-based stuff, but I was still comparing myself to everyone else out there. My relationships kept falling apart. I was emotionally really up and down as well. And my financial situation was mirroring that. So I had this moment where I was like, I'm going to have to figure this out. Like me, I'm going to have to figure this out. No one out there is going to be able to save me. I need to figure this out. And so I started a practice. Now, I'm also a single mother, so I have a kid. And so this is for all the parents out there that are like, I can't do this. Yes, you can. So I would put my son to bed at night, and I would close the door to this room, and I would lie down on the floor here. And I would just get really curious with my body. And at first it was really uncomfortable. I was like, what am I doing? I'm a little bored. I'm a little confused, right? This doesn't really make any sense, but I had this instinct to keep checking with myself. And so as I was checking with myself, I started to notice how uncomfortable I was. And I was like, that's really interesting. Why don't I love my body? Why don't I love myself? That doesn't make any sense, because I know theoretically I do, but emotionally I didn't. Emotionally, I didn't feel that I was beautiful, that I was arousing, that I was magnetic. And so that's where the download of the orgasmic arc came through. And the first step to it is, I think, the most important step, the step that you really can't have any of the other steps without this one. The first step is what I call safety. Now, most people, when they think of sex, they think tense, 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 tense. I don't know what to do with all this tension, so I'm going to go and put it somewhere. Right? Or most people, when they self-pleasure, it's like, I gotta, because I have all this tension in my body. But what they don't realize is that the arousal can actually be so much more fulfilling if you first teach your body how to relax. Now, for me as a woman, finding safety in my body was not an easy thing to do. Because women, especially erotically, we're not used to being safe erotically. We're used to kind of being taken, right? That's what we're used to and used and all that stuff. It's just kind of our cultural narrative. So I had to go deep within and figure out, how can I feel really grounded and safe in my body? And so I started relaxing a lot. And what it looked like was a lot of like holding myself. This sounds kind of silly, but this is what I did. I'd hold myself. I'd rock and cry. I was just kind to myself, which sounds so simple, but it changed my entire life to be kind to myself. So I started being kind to myself every day. I did it consistently. I started to practice whenever I put my son to bed, 20 minutes, kind to myself. And then this is the craziest thing. It blew my mind. I'm calm, I'm grounded, I'm relaxed. And then all of a sudden I felt arousal, like on my own, in my body. And I was like, this doesn't make any sense because there's no hot man over there arousing me. There's no porn that why am I aroused right now? My body just started feeling phenomenal. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to start feeling this. So then I moved into, this is called step 2. This is intrigue. So intrigue is the body's natural pleasure. And I actually, now that, it's been years since I've been teaching this, what I've found is that every single body, when it feels safe and relaxed, will naturally start to feel pleasure. It's going to start to feel curious. It's going to start to go like, whoa, and the body's going to start to feel aroused. So I let myself be in arousal and I was like, yes, this is amazing. I'm in pleasure. This is awesome. And then the next thing that happened was I went, whoop, and my body shut down. And I think what happened was I kind of hit an edge, right? I was so in pleasure. And this is so related to business, by the way, right? But like in my feeling amazing. And then I hit this edge. And when that edge hit for me, what I wanted to do was ignore it, stuff it down, run away from it. And I did that for a few nights until one day I was like, let me actually go into the edge. So this is step 3. Step 3 is directionality. And what you do in directionality is you go into wherever there's a concentration of either blood flow or energy. So in sex, this could be like, there's a lot of blood flow in your genitals, focus there. But in self-pleasure, it might be, there's something sticky in my heart. I can feel it. I'm not breathing anymore. What's happening? It could be, and that could happen in sex as well. Yeah. And so I started going into that part and I didn't let myself go. I remember saying to myself, I'm here for you and I'm not going anywhere. And I stayed and I stayed and I stayed and I stayed. Next thing you know, I hit step 4, which was miraculous. This is the orgasm, but I call it openness. So an orgasm doesn't have to be a genital orgasm. It could be what I like to call a heartgasm, where your heart explodes in love, or you start crying, or you scream. It could be ejaculation, doesn't have to be, but it's open. You have a sense of relief. You're like, oh my gosh, the clouds are parting. Right? Now, I always tell people to have great sex, you could stop at step 4. You actually don't have to keep going. But I'm a bit of an overachiever, so I was like, what's next? So I was in openness. I was hanging out in openness and, my theta waves were on and everything felt great chemically. My oxytocin was rushing. And then I found this place within me that felt very spiritual. The only times I'd ever felt it before were like at the end of a yoga class or, at a music festival where I felt super connected, something like that. So it felt this feeling like I am connected to everyone and everything all at once. I felt unbearable love in my body. And I just relaxed into it. This is step 5. This is beingness. And I believe now, after working with so many clients, that where we want to get when we have sex is actually beingness, and we just don't know it, so we focus on the orgasm. Yeah. But we actually want the spiritual connection. That's step 5. And now here's the cool part about business. So I started doing beingness. I would kind of go through my self-pleasure, and I was open in beingness, and I was feeling amazing. And then all of a sudden, I started getting business ideas. I got the name of my book. I got a course that I was doing. I was like, reach out to this person to collaborate with. I got the logo image. I was like, what? This is not top-down processing at all. This is like my body is birthing an idea. And so this step 6, I call this expression. And this is when I actually believe on a spiritual level, your dharma starts to come through. But it could also be, if you're kind of making love and you're in expression, it could be a moment where all of a sudden you say something to your partner that you're like, whoa, I can't believe I just said that. Right. So it could be something like that. But I do believe when we clear ourselves out physically, spiritually, energetically, emotionally, in our self-pleasure or in sex, we end up being able to speak from our authentic expression. And to me, that's the beauty of the whole practice. And it's what helps me stand up and talk to thousands of people every day. So that's why self-love is so important. You feeling it now?
Oh, I love it. I love it. This is powerful. I want to run through and recap it for the happy hustlers out there. So step 1, safety, and this one I think is like where when you have some trauma in a relationship, it's oftentimes the biggest roadblock because your partner doesn't feel safe. I know, like with my own relationships in the past, and even my current marriage, like I can think of how safety or lack thereof has blocked the pleasure, right? So this is huge. And I want to double back on that one in a second. The second step is intrigue, which, naturally we're aroused human beings. Like we crave intimacy, and intrigue is a part of it once you do feel safe and relaxed. 3, directionality. Directionality meaning like, okay, where are you going to take this? Is that kind of what you mean by that one? Just, how to actually get to the next step? Is that like when you talk about like the actual act, is that directionality?
Yeah. Directionality is basically the energy is going somewhere. And so your job is to meet it. Right? Okay. You're just meeting. Directionality is say like meeting yourself or meeting your partner. You're staying with it. Yeah. Okay.
And so would like presence make a ton of, like being super present would be very important with step 3, just directionality. Because that's where I think sometimes, like you said, it can turn off in an instant if you're not present and I got to do this, or, I thought of my grandma, or, it's like you can lose focus. And if you're not present and meeting the energy and the blood flow, you won't, actually have step number 4. Yeah.
Which is, go ahead.
Yeah, no, openness is step number 4, which is like the actual orgasm or heartgasm, and really getting to that climax, right? Where, you feel safe. There was the arousal, the intrigue. You're meeting that energy. You're being very intentional with it. It's not so much like positions and like the actual like frequency of penetration or anything like that is what I'm hearing. It's more so like the actual real connection. Is that correct?
That's absolutely right. I can have multiple orgasms and I'm just sitting there. Like it has nothing to do with the physical, right? With the physical. Sometimes the physical is there, but it's not necessary. And that's a big piece. I think people are really missing that. So I love that you said that and you highlighted that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think that's where a lot of people probably, think to focus is, reverse cowgirl is what gets you every time, babe. Let's go there. But really, if you're not doing step number 1 and 2 properly, it's not going to work at the level.
In the position, you'll know what to do if you're doing directionality appropriately. Because basically, let's imagine you're having sex and your partner. Let me give an example. Let's say you're having sex and your partner is like really reaching forward. So let's say you're in missionary and she's like forward like this. Her chest is really open. Directionality would be to put your hand on her chest. That would be directionality. And then the position. Or let's say she's pulling backward from you. You can feel her pulling away. Directionality would probably be to pull away as well, or maybe sit her up and sit her on top of you so that you're in a more straight position. So it's like meeting where the energy wants to go. And as you learn your own body, you'll be able to do this better with a partner. It's always body first, your own body first. Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge. Just like, here's something that I want to talk about before we go on to step number 5 and 6. Like, what if someone's not really comfortable in their own body? Like they don't feel sexy, or maybe they're a little overweight, or maybe they're, whatever, they broke out and they have like pimples, like little stuff like that. I remember like, I get self-conscious too, I'm just wondering, like, what do you say in those situations?
Great. So we go back to step 1 in that scenario. That's safety. So it's not so much about how you can help your partner feel beautiful or sexy or whatever. It's about, can you ground into your own body really well so that there's no fluctuation of energy, so that you always love them the same no matter what's going on. That's the goal. When your partner can feel your stability and how much you love them, so you're not withdrawing, you're not trying to go and get them somewhere else. When they can feel that you're just like a solid, stable, loving presence, all those insecurities will go away. That's how we heal those insecurities.
I mean, yeah, this is, eye-opening because and here's just something that I will just, express myself. I have made comments in the past where I tainted the trust and I didn't know how to recover it because I was like, maybe I made a comment like, oh, you're going to eat that, which is like, guys, don't say that to your girl, or like, I'm just being honest, I've said oh, you're not working out today. It's like, and it's more so like you have their best interest. Sure. But at the end of the day, then that just manifests in the mind, and ultimately it's blocking step one, the safety, right? Because your partner doesn't want to get naked in front of you if they don't feel comfortable, right?
Yeah. And you want to backtrack that, right? So if you find yourself doing that, what you do is you backtrack it and you go, what am I trying to achieve by making that comment? Most likely what you're trying to do is you're nervous that you're not going to be able to feel connected later, right? So you're saying the comment because you're like, if my partner eats that hamburger, I don't know if I'm going to be able to have sex with her tonight. And I really want to connect with her. I miss her. I really want to feel her body. So what you do instead, the way to fix it is to go, okay, what is it that I was trying to feel? I was trying to feel connected. And then you go up to your partner and you go, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry about that comment. What I meant to say was, I am really missing you. And I'm really looking forward to the two of us connecting later with our bodies. I want to feel that with you. And I think that moment I got kind of triggered. I got nervous that I wasn't going to be able to have that. Is that okay? Do you understand where that came from? And then your partner will go like, oh my God, yeah, like I totally get it. And then you'll be back in safety. So you want to backtrack all those little moments and come with vulnerability. That's also what creates safety. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like, it's doing the work. You gotta think about what there's a big difference between men and women, right? In terms of just like, men are very driven by, I'd say like the actual physical, act. And then women are driven by the mental, arousal first.
It's the emotional.
Yeah. The emotional. You could say it probably much better than me. What is the difference in terms of the drivers?
I would say that's kind of and this is just men and women in terms of society. I don't actually believe that it's biologically. I think it's just how boys and girls are raised, right?
Yeah.
I've done some research on it. I'm like, men can actually teach themselves to be more emotionally attuned. And that's the hottest thing you could do, right? Mm-hmm. And women teach themselves to train their minds more so they're not so emotionally erratic, which is going to make them hotter for men, right? So you can actually train both sexes to be more together. But yeah, you want to work with, if your partner, you want to work with how much am I thinking about a fantasy that I have versus how much am I being actually connected in the moment with the person in front of me. Like one of my lovers, I was hanging out with him on Saturday night, and he's a really hot lover to me. Like I kind of get nervous around him, because he's so good. Like he's so attuned, and I just love him so much. And I was sitting there on his lap and I was looking up at him and I was like, what do you want? Like, what would really please you sexually? Like, I want to be there for you. And he looks at me and gave me the best answer. He said, I want whatever is right in the moment for the both of us. And I was like, oh,
gosh.
And that just
nailed it.
That filled my heart. Right? Could you imagine what a master he is? But that was it, because that's what we're always seeking. It's that connection. It's not about, I need to go fulfill a fantasy. And this is really like business too, right? How much in our businesses do we have this goal that we think we have to go fulfill, and we're losing the connection of every single moment. So it's a retraining of the mind to be present and connected with what's right here.
Wow. Yeah. That is the ultimate goal, to get to like full presence, full emotional attunement, right? With your partner, and just, giving them safety, intrigue, directionality, openness, hopefully, multiple heartgasms. And then step number 5, beingness, which that's the beauty of intimacy, is it actually brings you together when done properly, right? You just snuggle, you're like, oh, I love you. You're in like that euphoric state. So I totally resonate. And then step number 6 is expression, which, yeah, you're right. Ideas come, like stuff starts to flow. And, I think, yeah, it is a spiritual experience. I think there's probably definitely dopamine, oxytocin, but also maybe low-key DMT released, from the brain when you have that ultimate pleasure.
There's also, when you're in beingness, the theta waves in the brain are active. So, Joe Dispenza speaks a lot about this and lots of other folks. But basically what's happening is the neurotransmitters are actually firing differently. And so to me, I believe that my business is an art. And I approach my business as an artist because for me, it's about the way that I can find fulfillment is like everything that I create, I want it to feel like a masterpiece. And the way that I do that is if I let myself open to my spirit, to my soul, where I'm not thinking about what do I need to do. Again, this goes back to the beginning of the conversation. It's not about what do I need to do. It's about how am I feeling and what's next, right? What's next to create? And that becomes the artistry of business. And to me, this is my second business. The first business I completely burned out in because I didn't have it. I had the goals and every 30 days I had to renegotiate. I was awful. And then that's how I was taught. And then this business crashed for a bit because I was doing the same thing. And then I went, if my entire business is about teaching pleasure, how do I make my business a pleasure-based experience? And that's what I'm finding is through self-pleasure and through sex, it's those moments afterwards where you're lying down, you're sprawled out on the bed and you're like, oh my gosh, that was amazing. That you then think of, I got a course I got to create. Oh my gosh, whoa, we got to do this. It gets really exciting.
Yeah. Well, and that's like what I'd call that is focused flow too, where I'm feeling in full focused flow state. And that is such a beautiful moment. And in order to get there too, here's something, a little happy hustle hack for people. You have to limit the distractions or completely eliminate them. That's something that I find, like putting my phone in airplane mode, like sometimes turning off the lights and just, putting on a candle, putting the incense, getting some good, uplifting music and just putting on my focus timer, knowing I got an hour that I'm blocking to get into focus flow state. That's when the juices really get going. When you're half checking IG and then you go to Netflix on your TV or whatever, you got a snack and you're like, oh, okay, you're not going to get there. It's just, you didn't give yourself the space. So I'm really glad that you went there. These six steps, the Orgasmic Arc, are amazing, Genevieve. And I'm sure people are like, okay, I want more of this. Where can I go? Well, what's the best place for people to go to get more of you and this knowledge and resources?
I have an incredible community and they're just phenomenal. So in there, I'm in there twice a week. I do lives in there. I do question and responses. And then I also have a bunch of certified Orgasmic Arc coaches now, which is really cool. So you get to meet a bunch of people and how they work differently in their bodies, all genders, all ages. But it's a blast. It's over on Facebook and it's totally free. And I'd love for people to come and check it out.
Yeah. And so we'll link that up in the show notes. I think the Orgasmic Arc community, but the O is a 0. So we get around Facebook's guidelines. And we also highly recommend checking out Genevieve on Instagram. She's dropping knowledge there. Her link tree's got her courses too, if you want to check out her courses. This is a question. You mentioned pre-chat that you were in a non-monogamous marriage, but I know you're single technically with the kid, but you're technically married too. So I'm curious, talk to us about your actual relationship. And when people, I know the whole non-monogamous relationship, it's had its moment, and I think it might even still be having its moment. Like a lot of my entrepreneurial friends, yeah, like I'll tell you, I know a lot of my entrepreneurial friends who are like trying this open partner thing, and I don't know one of them who's succeeded. Truly, not one.
Oh, interesting.
Like I know a ton that have a ton of fun, and I've been to some of their parties, and I didn't realize it was a sex party with my wife, and I was like, whoa. This is crazy. Like, yeah. And yeah, it was, I was like, okay, we're going to go lock the door, babe. But, you know, because I want to have like that intimacy and that trust and that like ultimate connection with my wife. And that's how I feel about it. And that's my, you know, that's my choice, obviously, but I respect everyone else's choices. So I'm just curious, talk to us about your choice to do the current situation that you're in, and maybe even some pointers for people who are willing to try it.
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, being non-monogamous is actually, it's just part of who I am. So it's not so much a choice as like it's like someone saying I'm gay, right? It's the same concept. It's like, I don't know, my body doesn't know how to just, right? It doesn't have a desire to or know how to just be one with one body. Now, this could be because my biggest passion in life is to explore erotically and to explore love. And so it kind of makes sense. It's fulfilling my dharma to have multiple experiences with many workers. But also for me, I've reached a point in my love journey and also sexual freedom journey where I really recognize that I don't own anyone else. So for me, my partner who I'm married to, I don't own their body, right? I don't own it. And I know myself so much that I know that I don't get jealous. I don't worry about any of that because I know I'm phenomenal. Right now, I think this is because I self-pleasure every day. But because I know I'm phenomenal and I'm consistently working on myself, and I know that I'm someone who's amazing to love, it all becomes very easy. The other thing is that, you know, polyamory and non-monogamy is a consistent work. You have to constantly work. But I also believe in monogamy, you have to do that. I really don't think there's much of a difference. But for me, you know, it's just a way that I can love as much as I want to and express my love so fully. And it feels so satisfying to me. I also don't live with my partner because we're both creatives. And I've noticed for my creative flow, I need a lot of time and space alone, right? My partner lives 2 blocks away. 2 blocks away. And it's awesome. It's awesome. And, you know, we're in New York City, so that's like 2 walkable, easy blocks. And that, you know, I think that our society has this idea, and I really had to break this down for myself because I remember having so much shame around this and being like, I need to have, you know, for my son, I need to have a nuclear family and I need to do that. And I really have let myself break down all of those societal preconceptions and let myself just love and be who I want to be. Not right, wrong, bad or good, just who's Genevieve and how does she want to show up in the world? And that's what I want to give anyone listening, right? It's not so much about the right structure. It's about who are you? Figure yourself out and then claim that and live that life because that's where freedom comes in.
Yeah. I mean, beautifully said. I think a couple, you know, high points that I just want to echo. You mentioned not being jealous. That I think is like the key to if you are going to go poly, right? You got to be okay with just, okay, someone's railing my wife today. That's just for lack of a better term, but like, I better not be jealous about it.
There's something in ethical non-monogamy called compersion. And I really have this in my body where if the people I love, I want them to be loved by other people. It's just how my brain works. Like, I love hearing that my partner wanted a date and it was a great time. Like, I get so excited. I'm like, that's so amazing. That's my constitution. Yeah. If I was a jealous person, I wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to work.
No, yeah, that's huge. And then you mentioned like just expressing your own freedom and being okay with yourself. I think that's huge. You know, you just have to decide what's best for you. Like, I think anyone out there listening, just don't feel pressure from society or from anyone else. Just decide what's best for you. Give yourself the time and space and happy hustle your love life, you know, because sex is awesome when done, you know, in the 6-step process that Genevieve laid out. And when you get to that expression and that beingness and that orgasm, right? It's like, life is about having fun, and sex is part of it, you know? So I'm glad we went there. I do want to just ask you a couple more questions I ask all my guests and put you through the rapid fire round, and then we'll wrap this up. First and foremost, I call them happy hustle hacks. One about just overall health, you know, to be sexually intimate, you want to be healthy too. Like, first of all, for stamina. Second of all, to feel sexy. Do you have a happy hustle hack, like a tip, a tool, a tactic in regards to health that you could share with the audience?
Yes. One of the biggest blockers of erotic energy is dairy. Who would have thunk? So watch that cheese intake and change it to vegan, okay? Because dairy actually slows down erotic energy in your body.
Oh,
and use aphrodisiac foods like oysters and grapes, and they actually work. Dark chocolate, those are big. They really work to increase erotic energy.
Love that. Super tactical. Let's talk about money. Something that you do maybe to save, invest, or spend wisely. Something, you know, that we could deem a happy hustle hack in this arena.
Okay, cool. So one of the things I do is from my net profit that I make every month, 10% of it, this is from T. Harv Eker, and you might already know this, but 10% of it goes into play. So that means every single month I have to spend 10% of my income on something I fucking love to do. Ooh. So this month I'm going to the spa, right? And I like just plan it, and I go, like, I'm going all in this month. We had a good month. So I'm going to get a massage, and then we get my hair done.
Get it, girl.
That way I'm not martyring myself as a businesswoman, but I'm actually giving myself like a queen day. And that's where you have just 10%. You can do it like that. It's really easy.
Yeah. And I would also say 10% to like selfless service or charity, you know, that circulates, you know, when you give back freely as well to yourself. Let's talk about spirituality, you know, connecting to a higher power, having faith. Do you do something in this arena we could deem a happy hustle hack?
That's the orgasmic arc, because you're hitting your spiritual nature there, especially around steps 5 and 6. So that's my prayer. Honestly, it's a body prayer. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Love that. Now, I do like to ask all my guests random questions in a rapid fire round session. So this is just, you know, going to be fun. I'm curious to hear what you say, and just answer honestly. First thing that comes to mind. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Favorite food? Go.
Zucchini.
Favorite movie?
SLC Punk.
Favorite book?
Oh, The Kin of Atta Are Waiting for You.
Favorite sexual position? I feel like I had to.
Yab yum. So woman on top, man on bottom, sitting.
Okay. Best business advice?
Enjoy it.
Nice. What's your spirit animal?
Definitely a snake.
Ooh. 3 things you're most grateful for?
My son, my community, and living in New York City.
And if you had a billboard for the world to see with your last piece of content on it, what's that billboard read, Genevieve?
What's that billboard read? Pleasure is yours to create.
Crush that rapid fire round, Genevieve. And I just want to take a moment to truly acknowledge you. Thank you so much for sharing your love, your light, your wisdom, your sexual openness, and, well, I guess not openness per se in your definition, but just your vulnerability and your, you know, your like very tactical advice too. The orgasmic arc is something that is actually tactical, and I love tactical things that people can implement. And I just appreciate you and thank you. I'm looking forward to collaborating again in the future. So thank you.
Thank you so much. This was so much fun. And I always say thank you for your courage to bring sexuality onto your platform. It always surprises me so much when people do it. So I'm so impressed with you that you were willing to go there. That's awesome.
Yeah. I just want to give you an opportunity to drop your links again and just share with the Happy Hustlers the best place to connect again. And maybe just like a call to action, if you will.
Great. Yeah. So definitely you want to come to the Orgasmic Arc community. That's going to be the best place to go. I do have free masterclasses in there every single month. So this month we're doing one on pleasure-based businesses, which is perfect for you guys. So you can come and check that out. In March, we're doing one on kink if you're interested in kink. So there's so much cool stuff happening that's the place to go. You're going to get everything right there.
Awesome. Yeah. And we'll link that up in the show notes. Genevieve, final question. What does happy hustling mean to you?
To me, happy hustling means to hustle with ease and pleasure in your body and not intention.
Mic drop. Genevieve Pleasure, y'all. Thank you for watching and listening. We are out. Peace and love.